Today I'm going to show you how we worked at our firm to drive adoption with developer tools. So thanks again. So I'm Viviane Lefebvre. I work as head of data and BI at BAT Advisors. It's an accounting and audit firm based in France. I've been using Tableau and Python for over 4 years now, and I've been Tableau ambassador for the third year this year. So our subject today will be how to do adoption using the Tableau development tools. To tell you more about what we're going to look at. So first, we're going to look at why adoption struggles, and in our case, why we had to change some stuff. Then we're going to check what kind of tools that are available from Tableau we can use to do these changes. I will share with you a demo of what we created at our firm and tell you what happened next. So let's start with the beginning. So why adoption struggles? We know that there's a gap between having dashboards and the daily work of our people. So we know that we've got dashboards, sometimes they're really good, but it doesn't mean that we've got adoption. Users might face frictions. They can have access problems, navigation problems, they can have tools problems, they don't know how to use it, and realized that the UX matters as much as the data. So when it takes too long to get the data, sometimes users give up. At our firm, a bit of context, at our firm we're an accounting firm, so which means that basically most of our people are accountants. As you would think, they don't really go to any looking at dashboards. That's not something that we would do usually. So we had to think about that, because at this point we had Tableau Cloud, but most of our users wouldn't go there, not because of the dashboards, but because it wasn't part of that daily routine. And others, what happened in July 2023 is that we got the MFA that became obligatory. So one of my users that actually went to Tableau Cloud tried to log in and texted me, I won't use it anymore because it's too complicated. So we had to do something so that my people would go back to looking at dashboards. So whenever the security is important, we know that, but at this point, we had issue with the daily workflows. It wouldn't go into what accountants would do. So how could we change that? What we realized at this point, the abstraction wasn't a UX problem. It was a UX problem and not a dashboard problem. What we thought about was, can we bring Tableau to our users instead of using other tools? And so started a work on how we reimagined Tableau Access. We went to TC, we went to other conferences and realized that there are developer tools that might help us bring back Tableau into a tool that is used daily for our users. So we use Tableau Developers tool to embed dashboards directly into our platform. We already created our own platform, so why not show them dashboards where we already are? We could also automate repetitive tasks. I'm also an administrator on Tableau Cloud. I know there was lots of things we could do with what Tableau offers, so why not do that too? We could also adapt visual experiences dynamically so that people were more into seeing Tableau if it shows what they want to see, and we could work on building a smooth integrated workflow. To do so, we went ahead with 2 tools and then 3. So we went with Tableau Server Client, which is basically the REST API but using Python. We also worked on Tableau Embedding API. And then later on, we tried to get into VizQL Data Service. But what are actually these tools? So basically, Tableau Server Client, as I said, we are using it to automate and simplify governance, which means that we can manage users and workbooks this way. We can also help automate and extract refuges. We could trigger workflows from our platform directly, and it would help us we can also use that to help for downloads, permissions, or sync content, for example. So it kind of removes friction from behind the scene. Then we've got Tableau Embedding API. So Tableau Embedding helps us bring insights directly where our users work. That means the embedded dashboards in our platform. We could also get back again the feature controls, but we could also have customized navigation buttons and all. So basically what it does is remove the needs to go to Tableau. And then later on, when VizQL Data Service was introduced, we realized that we could make the experience even smarter. That means accessing, so basically VDS helps us accessing underlying query results. And we thought that thanks to this, we could actually trigger UI changes based on the data that we could find in the data source. It would help us enable later and more responsive interfaces, and what it can do too is display KPIs without loading entire dashboards. So what we created was actually creating an architecture that's around Tableau Cloud, but making an inner platform. So how it all fits in with all these tools that I showed you is that our users now actually just log in. Well, they go in on their laptop. They're already logged in because that's how it works in our environment. And so they don't have all this friction about authenticating. And then we can show dashboards directly in our platform using Embedding API with GWT token. Other than that, we also add databases in our platform, and we wanted to sync it with Tableau Cloud, or we also developed other API connectors. And what we can do now with Tableau Server Client is actually send back data to Tableau Cloud, or actually send Tableau Cloud data, like our users, our dashboards, directly into our database. And then, again, Tableau Cloud will generate the dashboards based on permissions and dynamic viewing or VDS requests, as I will show you. To do all those, I'm going to share with you a demo of what we actually created so that it makes sense to you. So let's go to my demo, if I can. Can we go to my laptop? Yeah. So basically, I've got my own platform. I already logged in, and I'm just going to ask for all my KPIs. So here, what we wanted to do is basically have all the KPIs from different dashboards directly into one view. So instead of having my users go to one dashboard to another and then go to Tableau Cloud and check what they can see if they add the latest dashboard and all, we all made it very simple for them. We already selected the dashboards that they needed, and we told them, well, here you go, that's your KPIs for all the things. So we've got sales, we've got HR data, we've got accounting, or even energy. And then, as we are logged in with embedding, it means that I know which user is using it, and now I can see only my sales, for example. Like here, it will be the sales of the person who is logged in. But we wanted to make the experience even more interesting for them. So for example, they could actually decide which KPIs they wanted. So maybe they don't really care about HR. So why not showing it to them? And then again, maybe they're interested in the cash flow. So let's get it. And now they got their all their favorites thing to look at and their preferences that is actually saved in our platform, so they can see anything. So all those that actually just wanted KPIs, they have it right there. They don't have to do anything more. But those that actually went to Tableau Cloud before that and looked out at dashboards really want to see the real big dashboards behind that and not be only the KPIs. So what we would do is just click on the card right there. I'm going to zoom out a bit. It will load. I'm not going to wait. Yeah, it will load again. And now I've got the dashboards that you would usually create in Tableau. So instead of going into Tableau Cloud, as you might have to do, and look at all your workbooks and dashboards, you can actually just choose one KPI and get the dashboards directly here. So we thought about redoing what we already had in Tableau, so we can have full screen, or we could change sheets right there. But we can also add other features that we know how to develop well, in a product. So for example, here I could just add comments to my sales or whatever. So that's one of the parts of what you can do with embedding. Bring the experience directly to your users in the platform that they use daily. Another thing that we wanted to do is actually give back some powers to our users. Most of our users are viewers, but as the data team that have creators license, sometimes we actually don't have the data. That's not us that we do. For example, this one is about electricity and what's billable, and we want to follow the consumption of this. As a team data, I don't have the data. Actually, it's the administrative people that have the data and that they can bring it back to me. But what if they didn't have to give me the data and then me having to push it back to Tableau so that they had refreshed data, but give them the experience by themselves. So what we would do here, we just added a button that says, well, you can choose your files in your computer, give it back to you. It will send the data using Python code. We will process the data and then send it directly into Tableau. So that means that next time they go to this slide, then they will see all the data that have been loaded while they did that. So let's go back to the slides if we can. So basically, what we've seen here is that Tableau embedding, so I told you about all the tools that we would use. Tableau embedding here is to have no more authentication, which means that my users that left because of MFA didn't have to leave me anymore. And those that wouldn't use Tableau Cloud before that don't have to, well, actually go to Tableau Cloud and kind of get out of their daily routine, but it's already somewhere where they go usually. So we've got this, it's not showing, but that's the one I showed you earlier. We've got like, we've got one interface with all the KPI cards. So you've got a page view with multiple Tableau views. That's not something we could do in Tableau Cloud before, but because of the embedding, we can do that. We can also focus on one KPI by showing the actual dashboard that is linked to this KPI, and so people or users can actually go and explore the data more if they want to, and they always have the latest dashboard that is attached to this KPI. As I showed, we could add any features that you wanted to. Here we wanted people to share what they see and actually tell the others if they had any issue with that. So we created comments so that you could comment anything you wanted on the dashboard. And as I showed you, you can actually choose which views you really want to see, because some people might like some people might not be interested by any of those. One, use of Tableau Server Client. So I told you about embedding. Tableau Server Client can be used for multiple things. We use it for managing users, managing permissions and all. One of the business here in case is really to give back the power to our users to update their data so that the users can import data directly into Tableau database, which means they don't have to wait for us to get the data and then send it back again doing manually. And they can just refresh it, because at that point, it's their job to do it, because it's for them to get the data what they can, and they're going to verify it, because that's what they're supposed to check. And we don't have to do all these backward to do it on the other around and get the data so that they can check it later and then send it back again. So that's a use of Tableau Server Client. What about VDS? I told you about using VDS. I didn't show it to you now. But let's look at it. So basically, VDS helps us do queries. So some people use VDS now to do headless BI. That means they get the data from Tableau and then they make KPI cards using code or web development and stuff. What we do with VDS is kind of the other way around. Instead of checking getting the data and then showing it to them, we're going to actually check their data using a simple query. I know on which page I am in my website, and I'm going to check if this client, for example, has any data. If they have data, so what it means basically, if I say, well, if there are data, tell me that there are some, and in their own, tell me that there's no data. What this simple query gives me is the possibility to actually embed or not a dashboard based on which page I'm on. So here we can see that I'm on a client. I checked, I did a query so that to see if there was any data for this client, and I give them the data easily. And as I know on which page I am using user attribute, I can just filter the data right in, and that's only for the client. So basically, whoever gets this page can only see this because I said in my token that this page could only access the data that are linked to the client itself. But on the other side, I checked if there was data about this client, and I didn't find anything. So I could show the dashboard and it would get blank because I got no data, but people would see that it loads and then they would see nothing. So they would believe that something is wrong. Actually, what we do here is that as I got, well, you don't have any data, I'm going to say, if I have no data, what we're going to do is not embed any dashboards at this point, so they don't have to expect anything that's not relevant to them. So what changed for our users with all this experience we created around them? So basically, we've seen that the transformation was kind of immediate. So first, we have MFA struggles, which was a turning point because at this point, I had no more users. The migration was kind of slow because they had to look into Tableau Cloud and find the dashboards they were interested in. And they had so many different tools that they wouldn't even go to Tableau Online. So my adoption rate was pretty low. But then after doing all these changes, I know that there's only one single entry point, so I know what we're going to check, and I know that it's up to date. The data experience is fully integrated, which means that now it's part of the daily routine, which was really the objective of what we wanted to do. The workflows is faster, as for my users, as for me as the administrators of Tableau Cloud, because now everything's connected. And I realized that we have a higher engagement rate. So basically, now users engage more frequently. People that wouldn't use Tableau Cloud, but they wanted the numbers, now know how to get them. Because it means that there's less training required, as we created it around the experience that they already know, that they don't realize that it's another tool. They just go there and they can see anything. So the training was less really fast compared to what we had to do before to explain to them how to get the data, how to connect and stuff. It's also easier for governance, as I said. And as we are working on our own platform and not in the limits of Tableau Cloud, then we can do whatever we want. What does it mean? Well, basically, now that I'm connected to my whole Tableau interface, now I could think about doing a chatbot using AI and VDS. I can create maybe a website not for internally, but also for our clients, so that we actually create a new tool for content instead of having two different tools. And I could, for example, link documents to data because I know my data, I know where are my documents. Thanks to that, I could use this information to actually put them together. So what are the key lessons and takeaways from this, and how developer tools can boost adoptions? So my final thoughts here would be that we learned a lot during this exercise. We were kind of blocked because we realized that if we didn't do anything anymore, then we will lose all the progress we did when we created Tableau. But we talked to our users, and we realized that we actually had to listen to our users and start from the user experience and not the tool, because they already had the tool and it was enough. So let's understand what the users do. We can do small API integrations. Small API integrations, like just a query, means a lot for others, and it's not that much work compared to how much benefits they got. Combining embedding and automations, we realized removed friction, and as we said, frictions was a big hassle compared to for users. And all of these is already possible with Tableau already offers. So we started with embedding when we saw it, and then we already knew about Tableau Server Client, but we didn't even check what it was first because we were like, oh, we're small, so let's do it manually. And then as we wanted to scale up, we had to actually do something so that we could actually do it. And then there's always new releases with Tableau, so VDS can be super interesting. We haven't time much to work on what it can, everything that it can offers, but it could be interesting. So what I would suggest for you, if you can, well, first identify friction in your user journey. Why are people not going? Is it because of the dashboards, because it's not clear? Is it because they don't know how to access these dashboards? Or is it other thing? Can you use embedding maybe to simplify access? For us, it was like the big turning point because at this point we knew that they wouldn't go there if we didn't bring Tableau to them. What if you could use Tableau Server Client to automate what users shouldn't do manually? So less time on trying to sync out your content and people from Tableau Cloud to your own platform and users, and just sync everything together using TSC. And then why not use VDS to build like other enhancements that you can think of looking at the data you've got and what it can mean for users. So I would say try to start small, one workflow at a time, so that you get the whole experience that you wanted to create for your users. Thank you for listening to me today. And if you've got any questions, we've got still a bit of time.